I would like to introduce Certified Elder Law Attorney Tim Crawford. He is a member of the National Academy of Elder Law Attorneys and is also a CPA. Tim has been assisting families with their planning needs for over 40 years. Let's hear what valuable information Tim will share with you today.
We do planning to assist families, particularly families that have children who have special needs. Those families, whether they know it or not, have some unique problems in their estate planning. What can they do? What can't they do? Now, what's a typical estate plan for a family without children with special needs? The typical estate plan says something like this. I give my assets to my husband if he's alive, and if not, I give them equally to my children. In fact, that's the estate plan the government gives you if you don't put one together. So, what happens though if you have a child with special needs? Now remember, a child doesn't necessarily mean a 2-year-old. A child could be 20 years old, 40 years old, and those are called disabled adult children. Think of that. That's many times what you have. You're doing your estate planning when you're in your 60s, 70s, and what do you have? You may have a 40-year-old child who has special needs, maybe Down syndrome. Now, what do you need to do? Well, remember, that child is probably on government assistance. And to be on government assistance, that child needs to have low income and low assets. Well, of course he does, because maybe all he can do is work in a sheltered workshop and cannot have a regularly normal high-paying job. So what happens? That child's getting government help in the form of SSI, a government program to help disabled people, whether they're under 18 or over 18. They're there to help disabled people with the SSI program. But there's a whole series of rules associated with that program, where that person must always be low income, low assets in order to qualify for government help. Now, what's the problem? Mom and dad die. They may have made all the social arrangement as who's going to take care of Johnny, but they didn't do the financial planning and legal arrangements to take care of Johnny. Now, Johnny's going to need money. You may have been helping Johnny out while Johnny was disabled and you were alive. You may even have him living in your own home, and there's rules associated with that. Now, what happens when you're both dead? Gotta be very, very careful, because if all you do is leave assets to Johnny and his 2 siblings, a third, and a third, Johnny's going to go off of government benefits. So you have to figure out what you want to do. Some families will say, well, I'll just disinherit Johnny. He will be low assets. That's a solution. Others will say, well, I'll give it a third to my child A and 2/3 to child B and nothing to child C, Johnny. And what you're doing there, we nickname that solution the double share. And it may work with families with small amount of money, so that child B, who received 2 shares, 2/3, will take money and use it to help Johnny. That's a very informal arrangement. You don't know if it'll work. Will daughter B actually take care of Johnny? What if she gets divorced? What if she goes bankrupt? What if she dies? You've got all those issues. But sometimes when you're only working with $5 or $10 or $15, $20,000, that might be a solution that works. Disinheriting is something most families don't want to do. So for families that have $50,000 or more that they're going to leave to Johnny, they could adopt a solution. And sometimes you can do this with even less money. You can do it with money as low as $500. You can adopt a solution. And a solution is to get a funding of a special needs trust. Special Needs Trust is its nickname. Mom and dad are using their money at the time of their death to fund a special needs trust. But they got to do some planning in advance. So in their will or in a revocable trust that they may have set up for purposes of estate planning, or maybe even in an irrevocable trust that they may have set up for purposes of asset protection planning. They could have a feature in those that says something like this: when I die, the money that's going to Johnny, my special needs child, will not go outright to him, but instead it will go into a pot where that money will not count as an asset of Johnny's, thus keeping Johnny on government benefits. Yet at the same time, working within the rules, that pot, which we nickname a special needs trust, could be used to help Johnny. Now you got to be very, very careful when that is set up. And you have to be very, very careful when it's being administered after your death, where people are paying money out. You have lots of rules you have to follow, and those rules can change. So you do want an expert involved to advise the person running the pot to make sure that the money they pay out does not cause Johnny to lose his government benefits. Now you know why it is so important that Johnny does not lose his government benefits. If you have a special needs child, you know how important it is to have a medical card where Johnny's medical expenses can be paid for by the government without Johnny having to use Johnny's money to pay for his medical expense. And that can be a very, very expensive problem to pay for medical expenses if you haven't done your planning in advance. So think about it. You give Johnny a third of your estate when you die. In our story, let's say that's $100,000. And it's given to him just the way you normally do it, equal and outright. Well, when he receives that money, if he does absolutely no planning at that point in time, he will need to report the receipt of the money to the government. The government will then take away his medical card and his $300, $400, $500, $600, $700, $800 check that he gets each month. And he will be there spending the $100,000 until it's gone, and then he will go back on care. But boy, wouldn't it be better if that $100,000 was put into a pot that we call a special needs trust, and it's administered correctly so that Johnny does not go off of government benefits. Wow, that would be nice. And then the money would be there to help Johnny with what we call his supplemental needs, the things the government won't pay for, that he would like to have. And that could be used for those purposes. You got to be very careful. There are lots of rules as to what that trust can pay for and what it can't pay for. That's why you need some expert advice at the time the trust is actually paying out money. Now again, remember, that trust isn't used during your lifetime. That is funded at death. And at death, the money comes out of that special needs trust to help Johnny have a better quality of life. Very similar to what you may have been doing for Johnny while you were alive. You want that to be able to continue on after your death. And again, that can be set up inside a will to take effect at your death. Could be set up inside a very typical revocable trust. It could be set up in an irrevocable trust. It could be set up as a standalone trust where money is put into that particular trust and it's not part of your will or your revocable estate planning trust. It could be a separate trust in and of itself. But you need to do that planning in advance, and that planning does not have to be expensive, But boy, if you don't do it, you run the risk of Johnny going off of government help and maybe ending up needing to file bankruptcy because he got sick, he ran up a huge bill in the hospital, and he wasn't on any kind of government benefit program. So again, there's lots to think about in this area. It gets to be overwhelming. I would clearly suggest that you call our office and have a free consultation to discuss this situation. If either you or your grandchildren or your children are special needs, you need some very special advice. We'd be glad to help you with that, as we help many, many families each year with this situation. Thank you.
Thank you for listening today. We hope you enjoyed the experience of our YouTube videos. For more information, go to Tim's website at tpclaw.com. That's tpclaw.com. You can learn valuable information both from watching the series of videos that Tim has done on YouTube, and you can listen to recordings of Tim's phone seminars. On our website, you may also read and or print out many articles that Tim has written over the years. You can even set up appointments. In addition, you can find out about upcoming dining seminars that we're doing and upcoming phone seminars that we have twice a month on Saturdays at 9:30 a.m. and Thursdays at 7 p.m. You can even sign up for Tim's monthly newsletter. Again, the website is tpclaw.com. Thank you for watching this video, and feel free to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can be notified of our new releases on YouTube. Tim's YouTube channel is Timothy Crawford.